Spices can transform any meal into a unique and delicious experience. I'll show you how I use them to bring out the best in my Shawarma-licious chicken wrap with all the fixings. I'm Chef Heidi Fink, and that's what we're cooking on the coast. Hello and welcome. This season, we're focused on family-friendly recipes with flair. What better way to start than with one of my favorite recipes, chicken shawarma wraps. This is a popular Middle Eastern street food, but today we're making it for your family. Let's get started. So today I'm gonna show you how to butterfly a chicken thigh to make it really thin and flat. Chicken shawarma is made of marinated chicken that is put on like a giant spit and then rotated on a hot fire, and then after it's cooked, it's shaved in really, really thin slices. So I don't have a big shawarma spit, so we're gonna learn how to make it at home. So what we have to do that's really important is get that chicken really flat. So first of all, I'm gonna get a plastic cutting board, and I'm also gonna get a glove. Okay, so I've got some chicken thighs I've already butterflied, but I just wanna show you how to do one. So when you open up a boneless, skinless chicken thigh, you can see it's pretty thin already on this side. On this side, it's quite thick. So what you want to do is cut it almost like you're cutting a bagel. So you're going to cut it this way, but don't cut all the way through. Stop when you're almost at the edge, and then you can flip that open, cut it a bit more. So now, as you can see, the entire thing is thin and flat. So that is called a butterflied chicken thigh. I'm going to dump these and wash my hands. Now that we have these chicken thighs all flattened, this is about 1 kilo of chicken thighs, approximately 2 pounds. Now we're gonna put together our marinade ingredients. So the thing that's so great about this dish is that you can make it several days in advance and have it marinating in the fridge and then just cook it as you need it. So we're gonna start with 1/3 cup of neutral oil. And then here I have 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. And this is a great opportunity to use bottled lemon juice if you want. I'm a fan of the freshly squeezed, but for a marinade like this, bottled is fine. Then we've got 3 cloves of very finely minced garlic. Then we have 3/4 teaspoon of salt. We need 1/2 teaspoon of sugar. So the sugar is really important because it helps it caramelize a little bit, but just a tiny bit of sugar. Then we need some spices. Okay, so in here we have 1 tablespoon of ground cumin, 2 teaspoons of ground coriander, and 2 teaspoons of paprika. Put that in there. Then here we have 1/2 teaspoon of cayenne, and you could increase this or decrease this as you like. And then in here we have 3/4 teaspoon of ground cardamom and a pinch each of allspice and cinnamon. So these sweeter spices really set this apart from like an Indian curry, give it a bit more of a Middle Eastern flair. So you're gonna mix that up until it makes a beautiful paste. And then we're gonna put that on our chicken. Oh, look at that. Oh my God, it smells so good. You know what I smell the most actually is the cardamom. It's such a powerful spice. Even though it's like delicate and sweet, it really blends well here. I always like to use gloves when I'm trying to marinate meat, partly because then I don't get raw meat juice on my hands, but also because then I can really dig in there and really like press the spice paste onto the meat. Let's use our mini spatula again. I love these things. Okay, we're gonna scrape all that into our chicken, and then I'm gonna use my hands to mix it. All right. So you wanna make sure you just get it all over, get it really, covering every last bit of chicken. Okay, so there we go. So now you can leave that, we're gonna wrap it and put it in the fridge. And you can marinate it for a minimum of 8 hours and overnight, but up to 3 days. You can just leave it in there, and you can make a really big batch of this and then cook a little bit every day. All right. So of course I have some that's already marinated that I did yesterday, and now we are going to cook this. So there's a bunch of different ways of cooking this. My preferred method is actually on a grill. So like outside on your barbecue. We're gonna actually grill mark it on this pan to get kind of that char on there. It gives it a bit of a smoky flavor. You can definitely do it in an air fryer, or you can just roast it in a really hot convection oven. So I'm just gonna brush a little bit of oil on here. just so that things don't stick. Things shouldn't stick if it's hot enough, but you know, you don't want to take any chances. Okay, so we're gonna try to pull this and lay it flat on our pan. I'm gonna try to fit 3 of them in here. I don't like to crowd it, but I also, you know, don't want to be here forever. So we're gonna get a nice black char on both sides, and I'm gonna transfer it to this tray. It's gonna take a few minutes to grill them all in this little pan. Obviously, if you had a big barbecue, you could just throw them all on. But also, like I said, today we're just gonna do, you know, enough to feed a family. We might not do all of these. You can save some to take home. All right. Ideally, I'd like a little more char. Let's see how this one's doing. All right, that's one. So we're not trying to cook them on this pan. Obviously, if you were doing this on an outdoor grill, you could cook them all the way through. The internal temperature that you're looking for is 165. So you can definitely achieve that on a grill. Sometimes I will have the grill set up with a what's called a two-stage fire. So one side of the grill is hotter and one side is cooler. So then what you can do is get grill marks on it, get some char on it on the hot side, and then transfer it to the cooler side to finish cooking. Oh, the smells. Oh man, the smells coming off right now, like the spices, the garlic, it's amazing. Look at that beautiful char on there. All right, look at that. Okay, that's the last one I can fit on this tray, so I'm gonna stop there and I'm gonna throw that in the oven. Those are gonna take a few minutes to finish cooking. I can't wait to show you what's next in the recipe. We're gonna make some delicious sauces to throw this together. But first, after the break, we're on the road.
Cooking on the Road is brought to you by Whisk Victoria, the small but mighty kitchen gadget store for every home chef.
I'm here at Island Hothouse with one of the owners, Matt, and he's going to tell us all about what it's like to be a pepper farmer on the island. Thanks so much for having me.
No problem. Thanks for coming. We've got 2.5 acres of pepper growing mostly. We've got a bunch of tomatoes and eggplants.
Eggplants, cucumbers, I saw.
Cucumbers,
and so it's
as
a
well.
2.5 acre greenhouse?
Yeah, the whole size here is 2.5 acres.
Wow, that is impressive.
Currently, we're the largest pepper producer on Vancouver Island. We have different varieties, like even though we're growing red peppers, it's not the same. So we have Alzamira and Redline. We do that kind of mixed every year because we're trying to figure out exactly what variety works best for us with pruning and harvesting and the way that it grows in our greenhouse.
And it's like magic almost, you know?
It is magic, yeah. Jack and the Beanstalk.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Jack and the Pepper Stock.
Jack and the Pepper Stock, yeah, totally.
So I also heard you have a really big environmental sustainability slant with your operations. Can you tell me a bit about that?
Yeah, well, we recycle most of our fertilizer and our water so we can retain it and refeed our plants with it.
That's amazing.
As well as our heating system is wood, and we recycle deconstructed houses.
Oh, like houses that are getting demoed?
We use the wood chip from there and turn around and burn it, and it heats our greenhouse.
So it's just taking stuff that would otherwise just go in a landfill?
Absolutely.
Oh. It's so nice in here too. I feel like I'm on a tropical vacation.
Yeah, it's nice throughout the winter. We're usually around 21, 22 degrees. Doesn't matter what it is outside. So
that's great.
Usually nice and bright in here as well. So makes you feel good.
It looks like you have some ready.
Yeah, well, we actually have an order that we need to pack.
Oh.
So we can head up to the packing barn and
I'd love to
take a look at that process.
Okay, awesome. I'm here in the packing barn with Aurora, and can you tell me what happens here? What's going on?
Yeah, so this is, like you said, our packing facility. So we harvest the peppers down in the greenhouse, and then we bring them up here to be sorted in our beautiful vintage Oida pepper sorter.
I love it.
Which is quite invaluable to our operation. It allows us to dump an entire macro bin into the walking floor conveyor part. It then pulls it up here through the cups, and it sorts it by weight. We do 11-pound cases of premium peppers. And so we will fill our box, take it to the scale, weigh that, and once we are confident that's the appropriate weight, we close her up and we'll have a pallet going where we stack a 50 pallet.
All right, so you just do it like this, just by hand. You just pop them in there.
And how many? You gotta make sure that you examine each one, make sure that there's no bug damage.
So you guys do this for every single pepper?
Yes.
Oh my God, this is a lot of work. So every pepper is like inspected by a human, not by a machine.
Touch, not by a robot.
So how many peppers approximately? Like how many pounds? You said 11 pounds?
11 pounds, and on average, that's about 24, 25 peppers.
Okay, so I've got to weigh this, make sure.
Yes.
Let's see if I got it right.
Bam! Perfect!
That was a fluke. 11 pounds on the
Yeah. They're basically a seasoned worker at this point.
The chef training came in handy there.
Primo.
Awesome. This has been so much fun. Thank you so much for showing me around, for letting me pack some peppers.
Thank you for coming out. We really enjoyed having you.
Welcome back to the kitchen. The chicken is done. I'm just keeping it warm in the oven, and I've also got some tortillas warming in there for our wraps. So I want to show you how to make a couple different condiments that are going to go inside this Shawarma-licious wrap. So first of all, we're going to make our pickles. So there's a very famous pink pickled turnip that you often get in shawarma wraps. So I have some turnip. This is just like a purple turnip that I've cut into little sticks, basically bâtonnets, it's called in French culinary terms. I also have a couple teaspoons of beets just diced up. That gives it the color. You don't want to put too much in there because otherwise it turns fuchsia. And then I have a couple bay leaves. And this pickling liquid is half a cup of water, half a cup of white vinegar, a teaspoon of sugar, and half a teaspoon of salt. And also for a little flavor, I've added some coriander seeds. You could add some other things. I've seen it with chili. I've seen it with black pepper. Ideally, you would let this pickle for 5 days. It's good even after 24 hours, but it's even better if you let it go for several days. So I have some in the fridge. All right, let me get my fridge pickles. Look at the color on that. So that was the exact same recipe, slightly. It was a recipe and a half, so I had a bit more, but so it doesn't take long for the beets to turn that such a beautiful color. So that tastes really good. We're gonna put that in our shawarma in just a little bit. So the next thing we wanna work on is something called toum, which is basically like a garlic mayo. It has a ton of raw garlic in it. So in order to mitigate what would be really intense and bitter, we're gonna cut the center out of our raw cloves of garlic. So you cut them in half, and then there's a little, like a bud or a stem in there. You see that? We'll just pull that out like that. So this has a much more intense and bitter flavor, especially in the spring and early summer when the garlic wants to sprout. So you really want to get that out of there. And then the next thing you want to do is soak it in really cold water for about 20 to 30 minutes. So now I'm going to drain that. All right. We are going to blend this up in our immersion blender. You can do this in an immersion blender or in a food processor. So I've got my 1/4 cup of garlic that has had the centers removed and it's been soaked. I've got 2 tablespoons of fresh lemon juice, and I'm going to do half a teaspoon of salt. Okay. When we blend it up, we're going to be adding half a cup of a neutral oil in total. I'm going to add just a little bit to it right now so that we have enough sort of liquid covering the garlic. Otherwise, it won't blend up. And then we're going to use our trusty immersion blender for this job. So we're trying to make it like a mayonnaise, okay, where we slowly pour the oil in as it's going. That will help it hold an emulsion. It smells really garlicky in here. All right, there you go. So it ends up with the texture of mayonnaise, but it doesn't have any egg in it. So it's the garlic, the garlic juices that help hold the emulsion. Look at that. Kind of cool, hey? And the last condiment that I love to put in is a tahini garlic sauce. I've already made it. I made it last year for our falafel wraps, so you can check out that episode on CHEK Plus. It's in season 11. Okay, let's get our chicken and we'll slice that up and we'll get our tortillas. Oh man, this smells amazing. Oh, look at that. I wish you could smell it through the TV. So I'm gonna get out my plastic cutting board, which I have cleaned, don't you worry, and my knife. Okay, so now, remember what I said at the beginning, that shawarma is on a huge spit and they slice it really thin, so you wanna try and mimic that as much as possible. Slice it super, super thin. And then what I like to do is put it either back on the tray with all its juices, or I put it into a bowl, probably a lot easier on, you know, the table to put it into a bowl. And I like to mix the juices. You can see, especially if you've done it in the oven and not the grill, there'll be quite a bit of juices that come out. So I like to mix that back in, make it nice and juicy. So I'm just gonna finish cutting all of these, and then we can make our wraps. Normally, shawarma are wrapped in a special, really flat Middle Eastern bread called lavash, but sometimes can be hard to find. So if you can find a really thin, flexible pita or a tortilla will also work. Anything that you can, you know, wrap with. So today I'm using tortillas because that's what I could find. Oh man, just even like coming out of the oven, it smelled amazing, but cutting into it, it smells even better. So I'm trying as hard as I can to mimic the really thinly shaved chicken that you would get in a shawarma place. Obviously, it's not gonna be exactly the same, but you know, for a home oven without a special spit, I think this is a pretty fantastic recipe. Okay, there we go. All of our chicken is ready to go. And I'm just gonna mix it just down at the end so it stays nice and juicy. Now you could do this ahead of time and then just have it in a, you know, ceramic bowl, cover it with foil so it stays warm, and then people, you know, your whole family can build their own shawarma. Let's get the tortillas. And let's get a couple plates. That was a little too hot. So a typical way of doing this, so I grilled these lightly. I'll just move these out of the way. I just grilled these lightly and then wrapped them in foil and just kept them warm in the oven. So we got the biggest wraps possible here. We're gonna get our spoon. So what I usually do is take this delicious toum and I spread it on the wrapper first. Just when you put it on the warm wrapper, it smells so nice and garlicky. Then we're gonna put some chicken on there. So I usually kind of put it down the middle. So you're gonna wrap this kind of like a burrito. Oh, it smells so good. I can't handle it. I'm getting hungry. Okay, then I always like to put some veggies in there, just like you can put whatever, just a few. You wanna make sure not to overload it. That's one of my biggest mistakes is constantly overloading. I feel like I maybe already put too much chicken in here. Oh well. Then I'm gonna open up my pickles. By the way, these were fridge pickles. They don't get canned or anything, but they do last in the fridge for, you know, up to a month. Let's pull these out. Oop. And lay them. Look at how pretty those are. Okay, there we go. And it's okay if you get some beets in there too. Okay, finally I'm gonna drizzle some tahini sauce on here. You know me with my squeeze bottles. Lots of tahini sauce. So this is like a really nice, creamy, slightly sesame-ish thing. Maybe we'll put like a tiny bit of lettuce in there. Okay, we're gonna wrap it up. So we'll roll that up. Shawarma 1. Now, if you wanna leave it open at the top, you can. Shawarma 2. And I have this salad. It's just a mixture of tomato, cucumber, radish, a little bit of red onion, and some parsley. And this dressing is really simple. Lemon juice, olive oil, salt, pepper, and yogurt. But you don't necessarily have to have that because you've already got veggies in your shawarma. And just put however much you want on here. Oh, the smells. The Middle Eastern food is some of my favorites. So, all right, I'm gonna get this beautiful rice. So this is just rice, literally just some rice that I cooked with a little bit of turmeric and salt, just for color on the plate and a bit of flavor. I just made this yellow rice because it looks pretty. Let me just grab my knife. That way we can see all the beautiful colors inside. We'll just cut it on a bit of an angle here. Oh yeah, that's so much nicer. We'll lay it like that. Oh, well now the trick is getting it to stay upright. There we go. Okay, we'll cut this one. Oh, beautiful. Okay, I'm gonna get a little bit of Italian parsley to decorate this. plate. Okay, there you have it. My delicious, or should I say shawarma-licious, family-friendly chicken shawarma wraps.
Pairings are brought to you by Liquor Plus. Discover the plus.
This shawarma is complex and a little spicy, so a flavor like this is going to require a drink to stand up to it. With us is Shannon Ward from Liquor Plus to help us out. Thanks so
Hi.
much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. It's nice to be here.
Yes, absolutely.
So when I saw this dish, I thought, like, let's pair Chardonnay with it.
Okay.
So I brought Unsworth Chardonnay today. Unsworth was created by the Turk family in the early 2000s, and they focused a lot on Blattner varieties when they first started, which are varieties that ripen a little better in this climate on the island, cool seasons, like lots of rain. But they have shifted their focus in the last couple years to more commonly known varieties, so Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and Pinot Gris. So this is the Unsworth Chardonnay. So,
Oh, it smells good.
yeah, so should we have a little sip?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you about it. Cheers.
Yeah, cheers. Oh yeah, quite crisp.
So not as robust as the style of Chardonnay as you're gonna get from south of the border. Do about 15 months of oak, barrel fermented, but only 10% new. So it is really like crisp and fresh, but you still get that kind of nutty toastiness about it, which pairs really well with a lot of the spices that you have going on in the
Yeah,
in the
I'm
shawarma.
actually really stoked to try this together. So you got it. Okay. I think I got mostly pickle in that bite, so we'll see how that pairs with the wine. Yeah, that's excellent. Oh yeah.
Cumin, coriander,
Yep.
those kind of spices are
Yeah.
really like a great pairing with Chardonnay.
I don't know that I've ever paired Chardonnay with like these kind of spices before. I'm surprised how well that pairs. Like it's really
Chardonnay can be just such a versatile, great variety. You know, it can be really oaky and buttery if you want that, but it can be really crisp and clean.
I do think, you know, though, with the, like tasting it compared, like having all these different bites, with this, tasting it with just the shawarma, it's the best.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
brings out the best of both of them.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, thanks so much for joining us and showing us this great
Thanks
pairing.
for having me.
I'd love to see your take on this Shawarma-licious chicken wrap. Take a photo and tag me on social media. I'm Chef Heidi Fink. The more you learn, the better it tastes. I think I have to eat some more. I'm gonna take
I would like some of this Shawarma-licious wrap.
juices in the garlic have a small amount of starch, and so they can help emulsify the dressing, so you don't need eggs.
Okay, interesting.
The more you learn, the better it tastes, Shannon.
Great. Now I know.